you. Before we begin today's great interview, I actually want to remind you of a helpful lesson from my last interview. That interview was with Anthony Barbuto. If you missed it, he's a general practitioner with 2.2 million TikTok followers. He's really a rock star online. But that lesson, it's simple. Get help with your social media. Anthony was clear about that. Handling it yourself is time consuming, and you'll benefit from the technical knowledge and experience of your helpers. Did you create your website? Do you post all of your website updates? Do you build backlinks and regularly add citations? It's doubtful, right? But because you consider a website essential, you outsourced that work. You should think about social media in a similar way, though you can actually play a larger role. But trying to do it yourself, everything all by yourself, all those tasks that consistently posting requires, that's silly. So turning to today's session, my interview today is with a SoCal injury lawyer who is growing 70% annually. He attributes that growth to three things primarily. One, lifting the minimum case value he accepts. Two, annually sending gifts to his past clients. And three, maintaining an active presence on multiple social platforms. Let's get started. Okay, let's get to it. Today, our special guest is Attorney Joe Naz. Joe is the founder of Joe Naz Accident Lawyers here in Orange County, California. He's recovered millions of dollars for his clients. We're excited to have him here today. Welcome, Joe. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to having this conversation. I think this is going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to dive in. So to start, Joe, tell us a little bit about your story, your journey. Why did you launch the firm?
So I actually had the pleasure of working at several law firms that were not great personal injury law firms. And so going through that journey, I really saw how many of the places that I worked at were not treating the clients properly. They were treating the clients like a paycheck. They weren't treating them like human beings. They didn't actually really care about the recovery process. And it was just to get them in and out so they could get to the next case. From working at firms like that, where it was all about the numbers, just getting them in, looking for the big cases, I realized that so many people were getting hurt and they weren't getting the proper treatment that they needed and getting taken care of properly. Also, throughout my life journey, I've been in 5 car accidents myself. So I've been through the gambit of when it goes through treatment, how I've been hurt by the accidents. I've dealt with good attorneys, bad attorneys. So I've really seen everything from all the sides. I've done most of the treatments except for spine surgeries. And so for that reason, I just felt like God was kind of guiding me in that direction and moving me towards becoming a personal injury attorney. And I just don't really work well with being told what to do. So I was like, I just want to start my firm sooner rather than later, and jumped head first right after I passed the bar. I just decided to open my own practice.
And what year was that, Joe?
Right around 2015.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. So what types of cases are you primarily handling now? Give us an idea of case volume.
So right now we have about 250 cases in the firm, and within the firm, basically, we deal with we've niched down. We're really just doing vehicle accidents at this point, which is car accidents, truck accidents, motorcycle accidents. We specifically specialize in Uber and Lyft accidents, and that's really what we like to work on. We're also a little bit more picky. Thank God we're at that point. We don't really take cases under too low of a certain value. We work with other firms that really enjoy working on those value cases. We've learned we rather would have 250 cases where we're making, decent money. Like our average settlement amount, like we track those numbers. So like our average settlement is going to be around 40,000 average per case, where I know a lot of my friends that take a lot of smaller cases, they are averaging around like $10,000 to $15,000 right per case. So for me, I'd rather have more of the bigger cases, and then we average a higher settlement, and we have to do less stressful work. And sometimes the smallest clients can be very difficult and tedious to work with. So I really like to actually focus and work on the cases that we believe we're going to be able to bring the best value to.
Smart. How big is your team? Support staff, numbers on that?
So me and 2 other attorneys, and then we have another 5 support staff.
At what percentage pace is the firm currently growing, Joe?
So I don't want to say that we're growing 100% most years, but we're growing at least 70% every single year, which is great. we've been kind of doubling down just on different types of marketing ideas, but we get most of our cases from word of mouth. This is actually going to be the first year that I'm going all in on marketing, which is going to be PPC. Also we're going to be going all in on SEO. I'm going to be spending a couple $100,000 on that, which I've never done before. One thing we do at the firm is we really like to water the grass where it's green, meaning like we have clients that love us. We'd rather just buy them gifts and take care of them than having to go out there and fight like most of the other big firms where they're fighting. Like it's just like a price check, right? All the people that are calling, can you do it at a discount? Can you do it at a discount? Can you do it at a discount? When you work with people that already know, like, and trust you, then you're not having to spend half your day just doing intakes and wasting time having to sell yourself to these people. They already trust you. They already want to work with you. And so that's been the approach we've done so far. So it's been great. And now that that is going really well, now we want to try to add another revenue stream to the firm.
Yeah, smart, smart, smart. So the know, like, and trust factor, huge, of course. Outside of past clients who may be referring you leads and other clients, how are you getting in front? How are you really kind of fostering those word of mouth referrals?
So I think a big reason why I've had success and I get so much business is it's social media, particularly. I'm very much omnipresent on social media. I have a company that manages all my accounts. And of course, it wasn't always like that. In the beginning, I was recording the videos, I was posting them myself, doing the best I could. But I think that social media, especially for someone who doesn't have a lot of money in the beginning and you're really trying to be in front of people as much as you can, you want to use that to your advantage. And so for us, we have our business account, our personal account, we have a TikTok, we have our Twitter, we have our LinkedIn, we have Facebook page, we have Facebook page, our normal Facebook. So between all these accounts, really I'm posting everywhere. And people are like, well, why are you doing it everywhere? I'm like, well, because sometimes you have the older aunt that doesn't go on anything but Facebook. Sometimes you have the friends that only do TikTok. Sometimes you have the friends that are only on LinkedIn. So why would you not want to hit everyone? And you can most of the time take your content and with a little tweaking or like rewriting of the caption, you can repurpose it, even though it's the same stuff, for a different way. It takes a little bit more work, but it goes a long way. And so for me, social media has been a huge, huge asset. We also, one other thing we do is we make sure that we send gifts to all of our clients, friends and family at least once or twice a year. And we've gotten a lot of great results from that too.
Smart. And we'll definitely dive deep into the social media piece because you're doing a great job on social. But let's talk about what percent of
Thank
your
you.
revenue now are you spending on marketing and advertising? I understand that now you're kind of, you'll be sort of newly investing
Yeah,
in PPC.
I can give numbers. So I mean, like I'm spending $12,000 a month on my social media team. But that also covers my podcast, which I do. And even though the podcast is not about legal topics, that's been beneficial for my firm because people already know I'm a lawyer. So it's just being on social media in front of them. So 12,000 a month on the marketing team. And then on top of that, I spend about $3,000 for an SEO expert a month. And then I just started spending $8,000 a month on SMB marketing, that company. I'm not sure how it's going to go yet. I'm going to see. We just signed up with them this last week, done a lot of research on them. That's Nick Hauser and Andy Stickle. And that's going to be 8,000, but that doesn't include my ad spend. So it's going to be 8,000 plus about 5,000 a month. So about another 13,000 a month.
So with SMB team, they're focusing on PPC, it sounds like, right?
PPC, social media, tracking, following people. They also are going to help with SEO. They also help with coaching. They do a lot. It's a bit overwhelming. I'm just diving into it, but it's fine. I'm pretty savvy with marketing, so I'm pretty familiar with a lot of stuff they're doing, and I'm excited to dive deep with them because it seems like they have a 100-person team. They're very knowledgeable about their topics and what they're discussing. So I'm excited to work with them to see if it's going to make a change. I'll be very disappointed if it doesn't because of the cost, but I think that I'm going to get the ROI because all I have to do is get a couple big cases, which is what I'm going to have them focus on. If I get a couple of Uber cases from them, that will pay for everything for them for the year, and then we can grow from there. So I'm really hoping it works out because they seem like they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they're good. They're good for sure. I'm interested in diving in a little bit to the 12,000 social media. That's 12,000 a month on social media team. Tell me what that entails because that sounds kind of high to me.
So I don't think it's high at all because they're very experienced. The people that I'm working with, it's my friend, she has a company and I can share that information if you're interested in it later. But basically what they do for me is they're posting on all of those social medias at least 4 to 5 times a week. Okay. So I listed them. That's my personal Instagram, my business Instagram, personal TikTok, business TikTok, LinkedIn, my personal Facebook, my business Facebook, and my Twitter. So they're posting on all of those. Okay. On top of that, they're recording multiple days a month. So I usually do at least 2 days of recording a month where I'm recording 4 podcasts and I'm recording all of the videos that I can do in those films in those days of filming. So whether it's accident videos, stuff trying to trend on TikTok, whatever it may be, they also help me with the creative. They do all the editing. We discuss all the creative and we collaborate on all this stuff too. Anytime I go on trips and I like just want stuff on my normal social medias posted, I send it to them, they edit it, they put it on a Google Calendar for me, they organize it, and then I spend an entire day, like I'll spend 4 hours batching 2 weeks of captions because I do my own copyright. I don't like other people to do it because I think it's impersonal that way. And so then I batch it and I do that. So they're doing quite a bit for me. I probably could have gotten it for cheaper, maybe around like the $8,000 to $10,000 mark for everything that they're doing. But I really love the company and it's one of my best friends and I trust her and she knows me as a person. And I think you can't trade somebody knowing you as a human being and what the things that you like, the things that you don't like, and how you work so that they can help you out with that stuff.
Right, and I forgot too. You mentioned it's the podcasting too, which is included, which is obviously a huge value as well. Are
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Uh, are they boosting or running any ads on social for you?
There, if they do, it'll just be a little bit of added cost, whatever they do. They're not doing much for marketing itself. They'll just boost stuff that's doing well.
Got it. That's a good strategy. So let's talk a little bit about your social media. You're obviously very active. You mentioned you have 2 accounts. So the firm is at Joe Naz Accident Lawyers, where you have looks like more than 15,000 followers. You
Yeah.
also have a personal profile at joe.naz. Tell us
Yeah.
about your start on social media. What platform did you start on?
So I started primarily on Instagram. We're just now getting into TikTok. I actually got my account deleted off TikTok because TikTok doesn't like accident videos. If anybody doesn't know that, don't post accident videos. They say they're too violent. They violate their guidelines. So I lost my previous account.
Yeah.
Also, I went through like an emotional thing with Instagram too. I had done like these companies which did like bots. I had paid for people to like boost me on these huge accounts to get followers. So I actually just went back down to about 10,000 followers. I used an application to erase most of my followers that were not being engaging in my stuff because I'm actually trying to do stuff on a very engaging level now. I want people to comment. I want people to like my stuff. I don't want to just look like I have a bunch of followers, but they're not actually being any engagement. So we're actually restarting really everything. So I'd say if you want to follow back up with me in 6 months, I'll give you much better answers about whether I'm getting the results that I would like or not. But yeah, right now it's a day by day thing. We're trying to grow as much as possible.
Yeah. And why did you kind of decide to have the two separate Instagram profiles, the business and the personal?
Because there's some stuff that I post on my personal that is not business related, and not everything. Like I still have my personal life too. So, I needed to create a little bit of a degree of separation, but at the same time, like I get most of my business from my personal one. I do not get most of my business from my business one because people are following me. And that's also part of the reason that I just changed the firm name to Joe Naz Accident Lawyers. I was trying to we were create before I call this accident lawyers firm, which is generic. I do not recommend doing a name like that for anybody out there. You are just a generic name lost in a sea of generic names, and no one can find you. And when you have a previous client and they look up I accident lawyer, AA accident guys, they fucking forget, they don't remember, and then there you go, you've lost a client. So you really need to have a brand that stands out. And we had a branding expert look at the firm, and he basically said, Joe, I've spoken. So he spoke to clients, spoke to the team, he spoke to everybody. And so he basically came back and was like, the truth is that most people work with your practice, like 95% of them, because of you and because of the relationships you've created and because you're essentially the brand. I then met with guys like Sweet James, and they built a brand around one person. I think law firms have that unique ability to build an entire brand and business around the name of one person. And so after meeting with the Sweet James guys, and I see that they're the most successful by revenue in California, I was like, I can do this, and they're amazing. And I'm like, I'm gonna go down this road and see if this works for me. And so far, it's actually been great, and I think that it's going to be the right decision in the long run.
Smart, smart. And I agree. People want to connect with other people rather than organizations or businesses when it comes to, especially, the service-based business that you're providing.
That's a good point.
Tell us about let's start. Is social media a sizable lead driver for the firm? Let's quantify that a little bit. How many leads are you generating, would you say, a month on social?
So here's the thing. We don't get a lot of people reaching out directly through social. I just know that I'm in front of my friends and family's faces regularly because they're always talking to me about everything that they're seeing. So a lot of times it might not be perfectly quantifiable to be like, I got this lead from Instagram. Now, I did get a call on Sunday from someone I never have spoken to. I have my cell phone on there. He called me. He's like, I followed you on Instagram for a long time. I would love if you could help me with my motorcycle case. So fantastic. We're helping him. But most of the time, it's not like that. Most of the time, it's like they saw my advertisement, they got my gift, then they remembered, then they might have seen my email newsletter that I sent out, and the email newsletter might have reminded them that they needed to call me. So it's like, I think it's a combination of just everything, and it's little nudges here and there that finally get people to pick up the phone and reach out to you.
Right. It's a piece of the puzzle, right? It's that branding play, like you said at the top of the interview, know, like, and trust. And I mean, the most efficient and effective way of getting, distinguishing yourself, building that trust, giving folks a little bit of a look into what it would be like working with you. Certainly, social media is a wonderful tool for that. Yeah. So take me through your, actually backing up for a second, then lead flow in general. How many leads are you getting per month? What percentage of those leads are turning into clients, and where are most of those leads coming from?
Okay, I have to look at my document real quick because we follow a book called Traction. If any of you haven't read it, you need to immediately buy it and spend the next couple months reading it with your leadership team. It helps you get a good grasp of like tracking things. So I mean, like, all right, we're looking at like last quarter, we had about intakes, word of mouth, we had about 50. And then for marketing calls, we had about 40. We retained almost 35 cases last quarter. So that's like about like average of what we're doing right now. This quarter is actually turning out really well. We're already a month in. We've already signed up 20 cases. So this might be our biggest quarter yet. The goal right now is we want to get to 400 cases in the next year. So we have 150, about 160 more to go. So that's kind of like why we brought on SMB marketing. We've looked at the numbers. We've decided that if we're around 400 or 500 cases, everybody in the firm would be making fantastic money. We can treat everybody properly, and we can also allocate resources accordingly. So that's what we're shooting for at this moment.
Good. Yeah, that's super helpful. Thank you for sharing those numbers.
Yeah.
And like you told me before we started the interview, I mean, numbers are, you're very numbers driven, numbers oriented. How do you stay on track, and how do you kind of bring the team along to kind of understand the importance of those numbers?
So like I said, we run our firm, by the way, Traction recommends it. So we have a weekly meeting every single week. We input all of our numbers, then we keep track of it on a quarterly basis. And then when we have our quarterly meetings, we discuss all the numbers. We see where we're off, we see what's missing, we see what's a problem. We immediately adjust and we address the issue, and then we get it fixed as soon as possible. So we really know what's going on, and we have, I guess, for lack of a better term, a pulse on the life of the firm to understand exactly what's happening, what needs to be strengthened, what is going the wrong way, what's going the right way. And so it's very much able to give you like, I don't even like, I know what's going on at all times within my firm. Even if I don't even attend the meetings, I can just pull up the company scorecard is what we call it. And on this company scorecard, I can literally see if things are falling apart or if things going well, because I can just read the numbers and see if they're off.
Yeah, yeah, super smart, super smart. On the firm's Instagram profile at Joe Naz Accident Lawyers, you seem to be really leaning into the lawyer reacts videos, or even just simply kind of posting trending crash videos with a caption about, whether the video subjects have a case. Are those videos, and those videos are getting, looks like thousands of views. I mean, they're performing well. Why are you taking that approach on the firm profile?
So this has been a thing with my social media, trying to figure out like what my style is, especially with the accident videos. How many times can you tell people the steps of taking, what to do when you get an accident, how long it takes for a case to settle? So like what we've learned is the best reactions we've been getting on stuff is the accident videos, because those are attention grabbing. People are liking them. They're seeing them. They cause conversation, people to comment, to discuss. Furthermore, with all of that, the thing I probably need to start doing is things like West Coast Trial Lawyers and Law by Mike, where they do those short videos giving people advice on different types of lawyer stuff. But those videos are very time consuming, and they're not my style. They're just not the way that I like to speak. They don't feel right coming out. They feel very like cheesy. Like you have to film like to get like one of those videos, it takes like a half hour to do like a 17-second video, because you just like film and then you move and then you do the transition and then you do it over here and you sit over there and then somebody comes to you standing over here and then you're just like, it's just like one-liners. It just doesn't feel natural and it feels like a lot of work, but that's like what the kids like and that's what the attention is at. And so it's like, this is the rub. It's like, do I do it just for the sake of doing it, or do I just stick true to what feels right for me? And right now I'm sticking to what feels right for me. I might do some of those in the future just for the sake of doing some of them to see how they react, but they take a lot of time and a lot of effort, and it just doesn't feel natural to me.
Yeah, I think that's honest insight, right? I mean, especially if you're uncomfortable or it just doesn't feel authentic, it'll be that much more difficult to stick to that too, I feel like, right? You know,
Yeah,
yeah. So I think finding that balance can sometimes be difficult, but I think it's important to figure out your persona online.
exactly.
Can you take me through your current process? We talked about it a little bit, but where are you finding inspiration for your new video topics? Because you do have, especially on your personal page, obviously you have a broad range of video topics. And what topics are performing best for you on the personal page?
Stuff that resonates with people's hearts is really what I could tell you. When I'm just being authentically the fullest version of myself, when I'm being in full integrity with like who I am and what I want out of life and why I want it, it's just that's what's hitting with people. So for me, I'm very much into personal growth. I'm really into exploring like childhood trauma, emotional trauma, understanding people's psyches and psychologies. I really enjoy talking about how people have gotten success in their life. So I enjoy a wide range of topics, and that's why I really enjoy my podcast. And what I can say is just whenever the topic is authentic to you, something that you're genuinely interested in, people will resonate with that. It doesn't matter what the topic is. And if you're good and you market properly, everybody already knows you're a lawyer. So it doesn't matter what you talk about. They're coming to work with you as a person. That's why people choose you. So the thing is, if they like you and they know you and they trust you, like we discussed before, then they're going to come work with you. And it doesn't matter. They just want to resonate with who you are, what your beliefs are. And you also have to realize too, not everyone's going to agree with your beliefs. Not everyone's going to like what you like. And that's okay too. And I think that you should still, instead of being a cookie cutter lawyer or just being a cookie cutter person, have an opinion. You'll get more fans and you'll get more people to like you when you actually are being true to yourself.
They're coming to work with you as a person. I think that is so important to remember. They're coming to work with you. And,
Yeah.
you know, consistently posting content helps you stay top of mind, of course, but you know, they're what you're saying is resonating, your personality is connecting with them, and that's really the goal, right? I mean, that's the overarching goal, not hire me, call me now, right?
Yeah, and I mean, this is a very much a personal business. This isn't like when you go to Apple and you're going to get the same thing no matter who you speak to and whatever you do. It's a product, right? So because it's a service business, the truth of the matter is who your attorney is matters. And you know, I'll be the first one to admit that sometimes when my friends and family call me, like I work with a lot of the biggest attorneys in the country, right? Sometimes when something's out of my depth, like I'll work with Payne Shea and Boyle on cases. And I have like a huge, probably like $5-10 million case right now that me and Steve Vardazarian are working on together. It's like understanding that like you might be the person that this person trusts, but also knowing that you probably are not going to be able to get them the full recovery that some other attorney can get. But the beauty of it is if that person trusts you, you can still guide the process, help move it along, and you can also learn from some of the best people in the world that are litigators. So it's like I very much see other people in our field as like compatriots in justice. We're not against each other, we're for each other. This is why I even started my own networking group of personal injury attorneys. I have a networking group called the Justice Society. We have 70 attorneys in Southern California. If anyone's looking to join, we have dinners once a month. They're hosted by doctors. We typically go to restaurants like Mastro's, Fleming's, Water Grill, and we hang out. And more importantly, we provide a community where we're sharing information, we're supporting each other, and we're helping each other out. Because when I started my career, no one wanted to help me with anything. Until I sent people referrals and big cases, I wasn't able to get a mentor. I wasn't able to get assistance with anything. So I was like, I want to create the community that I never had. And now I have created the community that I'm looking for. And we have a WhatsApp group where we literally, there's messages every single day. Everyone's easily accessible. I'm friends with most of the biggest attorneys in Southern California due to the relationships from this group and a lot of the best doctors too. And not only that, but I'm super nerdy. And part of the reason I love my podcast, I love learning. So every dinner we get taught a new medicine or a new specialty, and we have the best doctors in Southern California coming and sponsoring these dinners and teaching us. I vet every one of them and I trust them and I send my clients to them. So I highly recommend, if you're interested, reach out to me. You can call me whenever. And I think you're going to put my contact info with this, right?
I
Yeah.
definitely will. That is hugely, hugely helpful. What a wonderful resource. I love that abundance mentality. How did you grow that network, Joe?
It honestly just started organically. Basically, I just was looking at who my friends were when I was in high school, and that became personal injury attorneys. So you probably know like Razavi Law Group, if you've heard of them, JLF firm, Jeff Fangor, Michael Gendron, Ibrahim Mahtaseb. These guys were all guys that I just either went to law school with or I'd known since we were kids. And we all opened our own personal injury firms. And I was like, hey, do you guys just want to get together, have some drinks, hang out, talk, shoot the shit, just vent? Really is what I was looking for, is a group of guys that understood we could talk and help each other and just like hang out. So it started to turn in just dinners and hanging out once a month. Then I went to Cala, and one of my friends at Cala, Grace Alcantara, she's like, Joe, that doctors would be more than happy to sponsor these dinners that you're having with your friends. And I was like, I never thought of that. I was just thinking of it a way to like create community and to hang out. But then the nerdy side of me was like, yeah, but you get to learn something cool and still get the benefit of this group. So it just kind of evolved. And I don't charge any of the attorneys now. It's very much just growing organically. And I'm about to start providing MCLE credits. I'm about to start recording all of the events. I'm going to start providing an online platform. I'm building a website now. Once that's built, the plan is to have basically the whole member list so we can all contact each other. There'll still be the WhatsApp group for us to communicate, MCLE credits, and then I'm also going to have a list of all of the doctors that everybody in the group approves of and likes to work with, so that we can make sure we're all using good doctors, so we're not killing our cases and we're not working with people who are not going to help us get the best value. And I think that a lot of us in the group are litigators, so we're very familiar with the doctors who are good and the doctors who can help. So this is where we're at in the group right now, and eventually it will be a monthly cost, something reasonable, and then I'll try to have the doctors come and sponsor the dinners in perpetuity.
Very cool. And I assume many of these attorneys are also on social media and you can really support each other on social as well.
Yeah, absolutely. They're all on social media. Exactly.
Smart, smart. I mean, not only a referral network, but the mastermind, the exchange of ideas, invaluable.
Yeah, and I was going to say, now that I think about it, the website will be up by the time this airs. It's going to be justicesociety.law if you want to apply for membership in the group. And then you can just apply there, and we'll jump on a call, and I would love to tell you about it. If it makes sense, then I'd love to have you.
Very, very cool. Yeah, we will share that link as well. Thank you, Joe. That's a huge resource. I'm interested. Are you using AI in your practice at all, either for marketing or in your daily work?
So we're very, very much tech oriented. We use a lot of technology. We are not using AI yet. This is something I'm going to be looking into. I'm going to Sam Malawi's conference on the 15th to go learn about this. So I want to see how we can use AI. We are super integrated with Zapier. We use CaseFear. We are very integrated with Case Status. We are as like process oriented and task oriented and automated in processes. So I guess if you consider Zapier AI, then I guess you consider that like an AI, but like essentially we try to do, I don't want my team doing anything but what they have to do. So we are super on top of it. Even after this meeting, we're about to do a 4-hour meeting. We're going through our case plan, which is hundreds of processes throughout the entire case from beginning to end and making sure it's perfect. We do this once a year. We want to make sure our process is perfect. And we're trying to automate everything that we can by reviewing it and giving it to our team. That one of my employees, he's in charge of our Zaps. So he helps with creating the integrations so that it can be flowing perfectly.
That's great. And a lot of that is so foundational, right? You set it up once and it just, especially with those automations, it can really, be valuable with maybe even just little tweaks or just kind of, run for years, really, right?
Yeah, I mean, these automations run forever as long as you don't ever turn them off. I mean, like we do automations like sending client representation letter. Why are you like drafting that every time? We send a welcome text message to every client. We send a welcome email. We send a property damage email. All of these things, if they're done on every case, you can automate it. Stop doing it. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your team's time. You should be using your brain for the things that are important, not using your brain for the things that are a waste of repetition.
I'd love to hear some of your software. What are some tools, software you use that you would really recommend?
We use Ksphere. Ksphere is fantastic. I'm going to be very frank with them. I do not like their integration. I think their software engineers are not that great. They take forever to make updates and they take forever to make changes. And don't get me wrong, Ksphere is amazing. I think Filevine's software engineers are a little bit better, but I do like Ksphere's system better because it's simpler. Sometimes I think the option of doing too many things, you get distracted, you get lost, and you kind of get there's just too much going on. So we went to Ksphere from Filevine because it was simpler. We've been much more efficient since then. We like it. I usually keep track of most CRMs. I think Ksphere and Filevine are the only two that I would recommend. I'm not a fan of Clio. I'm not a fan of a lot of the other ones that I've looked at. I don't want to get into it too much. When we're big enough one day, I would love to go to Litify. They're very, very like data driven. They're good, but Filevine, Ksphere, and Litify, I think, are the best for CRMs. We use case status for texting. We're just getting implemented with them. I'm not in love with them because they're not integrated the same way that I would like with Ksphere, but I think this is a Ksphere problem. Once again, that's the issue with them, but they are very helpful. There's basically a system that we're allowed to text from there. And then they also show the status of what the case is in and gives them some information and shows them what we're doing on our side, which is really helpful. Zapier, if you're not using Zapier, I don't know what century you live in. You need to figure out what Zapier is and how you can use it with your firm. So make sure you're using Zapier. We also use eFax for faxing. We're not in an office, so I just buy I'm very much about using good technology for my team. I buy them the nicest laptops you can buy at Mac, and I buy them the nicest iPhones you can buy at Mac. And I've learned that when you treat your employees right and you get them the nice shit, they work really hard and they really appreciate it. And also, like, you think you're saving money by buying them an HP or some PC that doesn't really work and gets viruses and has all these problems. In the long run, the extra $2,000 that you would have spent, it saves times and efficiency. You don't have to worry about it. And Apple also leases products. So every 3 years, they just get a new one. So it's the best. I highly recommend Apple. I'm a huge proponent. I understand that twice the price, but it's really in the huge scheme of things. The one thing that needs to work perfectly, or the two things that have to work, are your phone and your laptop. So just overspend on that and it'll save you money in the long run.
I love that advice. Yeah, and I mean, just the productivity alone, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
I like to ask Joe, what are some of your biggest mistakes or lessons learned in growing the firm?
So I've been dealing with a malpractice lawsuit from a crazy client for like 4 or 5 years now. And the biggest lesson that I learned is this: trust your gut. Your gut always knows. Your heart always knows. The moment you feel sick to your stomach, or you feel stressed, or you feel anxiety, speaking to a client, that's God giving you a freebie and telling you, hey, it's not worth the money, run for the hills. Like, you need to listen to your gut. I had so many opportunities to get out of that case. I just kept seeing dollar signs, dollar signs, dollar signs. And long story short, I did not listen. But what I will say is this: I learned my lesson, because right after the nightmare that happened with this client, I'm still dealing with it. It's been almost 5 years now, and it's going to probably take another year or so. And it is what it is. Immediately after the whole situation happened 4 or 5 years ago, I got home and I sat and I looked at all my cases, and I would literally read the names. And if one of the names gave me anxiety or stress the same way that this girl did, we dropped them as a client, we waived our fees, and we moved on. Not only was this the best thing for me, the morale in my company went up 50%. I gained respect for my team. They all thanked me. One of my employees, attorney, she almost cried because she's like, thank you so much, because she had one of those cases. Don't work with clients that are going to kill you, stress you out. It's not worth the money. Mentor mindset. Your career will not be defined by the cases you take. It will be defined by the cases you don't.
I love that. I mean, you've so very clearly learned from that experience, and I mean that's so powerful for you, but for the team as well. That's really great. So
yeah. And one other thing, I do want to share one other mistake. We ended up dealing with another malpractice lawsuit because we made a mistake. We filed a lawsuit against the wrong name of the person. We filed it against the owner of the vehicle instead of the person that was driving it, because their names both started with an A. So just pay attention to the little details. So what I want to say to you is, if you are a litigator, don't wait to file the lawsuit a month before. have tasks that a year into the case, you should be filing the lawsuit if this is going to go to litigation anyways. It's beneficial for the client. It's going to save you time and issues, because if you made a mistake, you can just, file a motion to fix it. But if you already passed it to your statute, you can't. And that's what happened on us. And it ended up costing us a pretty penny. So just be careful with the meticulous details. That wasn't just a mistake on my end. My paralegal, I didn't double check. Of course, I'm the boss. I need to be double checking those details, but things like this happen.
Good advice. Good advice. So before we wrap up, Joe, I always like to ask, if a lawyer watching only has time to adopt one, maybe two of your tips, what would you recommend?
Read the book Traction. Read the book Traction and post on every social media that you can afford time-wise.
I love it. I love it. Traction for those, the reporting and the structure, and post
Everything.
on social, that know, like, and trust. Absolutely. Absolutely. Joe, thank you so much. You were incredibly generous with your time and your knowledge. It was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
No, of course. Thank you. You were an absolute pleasure. I look forward to seeing this when I post. And if anybody needs anything, please call me on my cell phone, 949-690-6211. And if you're interested in joining the Justice Society, just shoot me a text. I'd be more than happy to help, 949-690-6211. Thank you so much.
So generous. Thanks, Joe. Lots of good stuff from Joe today, right? He's growing at an impressive clip. Here are the primary takeaways I see. Number one, sending gifts to past clients is certainly paying off for Joe. I like Joe's approach of watering the green grass, as he puts it. Promoting to your fans to obtain more referrals, like Joe does, generates calls from the best kind of prospects, ones who aren't lawyer or price shopping. Number two, being on social media brings soft benefits. Social videos work similarly. They build a fan base of people who know, like, and trust you. When they do have the legal need or the legal question, they are prone to call you and only you instead of the first names they see on Google. Number three, let your personality show. The way to build a fan base on social media is to really let them see who you are. What will it be like working with you and working with the firm? The more your viewers learn about how you think, what your hobbies are, what you enjoy to do, where you live, who you live with, the tighter the bond will be created. Number four, promote yourself. In a service business dominated by small firms, like the practice of law is, you are the brand. So you need to put yourself forward. Joe does that well with his Joe Naz Accident Lawyers brand. I do the same using Grow with Cara for my Instagram, my YouTube, instead of the impersonal James Publishing. People want to connect with people rather than organizations. We've heard that time and time again. And lastly, number five, big plunges are risky. Joe's new and large investment into PPC and coaching is a sizable gamble. I like and personally recommend small tests of new marketing channels with close tracking of results before plunging headlong into them. Time will tell whether Joe's 12-month commitment to spending $156,000 annual on PPC and coaching will pay off. I hope my interview with Joe was helpful. It was a lot of fun to talk to him. My next interview is with an Ohio injury and criminal lawyer who has found success and growth serving small town residents in Ohio. His firm has doubled in size over the last 2 years, so a really, really good growth rate. He relies on a broad-based marketing approach. He uses local SEO, lots of reviews, Google ads, Instagram ads, billboards, organic social media, and provides some valuable lessons and techniques. I hope you can join us. Thanks for joining us today. See you next time. Keep marketing. Bye-bye.